Well, welcome back, all you smart, amazing people out there. I'm so glad you are here because I've got a very powerful message to share with you guys today. You see, over in Argentina, a presidential candidate has just issued a dire, and I mean dire, warning to the American people. And his name is Javier Milei. Now, Javier Milei sat down in an interview with Tucker Carlson. And in this interview, he dropped bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. And I thought, hey, I have to bring this to my listeners because it is such a powerful report. And it really brought me in tears, to be honest, about the fate of our country and where we're headed. To kind of give it to you in a nutshell, before I get into his dire warning, I want to say a few things about what went on in Argentina. For starters, Argentina used to be a fairly rich country. I believe it was one of the richest. Now, it is not that anymore due to government corruption and these socialist policies that the government kept bringing in. So now Argentina is one of the poorest nations in the entire Western Hemisphere. And on top of that, their entire currency has been devalued and there is hyperinflation. And when I say hyperinflation, I mean you're taking brick stacks of money to buy basic necessities. That's how bad the hyperinflation has gotten over in that country. Now, to add a little bit more information on what's going on in that country, there's about 47 million people in that country, and only about 11 million of them work. That is a massive gap when it comes to those who work and those who do not. In other words, the government over there is only relying on the 11 million workers for all of their needs, so to speak, and all of the needs of the people. 11 million support 47 million. And this is always what happens under socialism. And to give you an even greater grasp of what's going on and how bad it is in Argentina, is their currency devalues by 10% each and every single month. That means every single month, people are 10% poor. This is why the nation is one of the poorest nations now in the Western Hemisphere. So a lot of people asked, how did Argentina go from a rich nation to an absolute poor nation and the place that they are today? Well, the presidential candidate, Javier Milei, had a lot to say about that. And in a nutshell, before I dive into it, the bottom line is socialism always offers free things to people. Well, nothing is free. You know, I came across this meme the other day, and I'm going to paraphrase this. Hopefully I get it right, where, you know, a mouse is running up to a piece of cheese. He thinks the cheese is free, but when he gets to that mouse trap, closes in on his head and the mouse dies. Well, it's the same thing with socialism. They see free cheese and they go after the free cheese and grab it, but they don't realize the mousetrap is about to shut right on them. And this is what happened in Argentina. You have all these people thinking they're getting all these handouts when in reality, they're just grabbing it from somebody else. Well, eventually those who are working and paying the massive amount of taxes to the government to support everyone in the country, those who are not working, eventually they're going to get fed up enough. They're going to quit their job and stop and just, hey, we're going to suck off everybody else. And that's what happens all the time in socialism. And we really and honestly are truly there today, especially when we have Democrats that are literally screaming, this is what's happening now for everything to be given to them. And unfortunately, the Biden administration is doing exactly that. Before I dive into what's going on here, I want to take a quick break for my new sponsor. Take a listen. Well, nothing is more important than our personal health and well-being, and I have finally found something that works, and that is the C60 EVO organic oil. Now, this is part of my daily routine. I take a teaspoon of it each and every single day, and I have gotten so much more energy. I've gotten a lot more mental clarity as well, and not to mention I can sleep a lot better at night, and that is why thousands of people all over the world have amazing testimonies on this thing and are also sleeping better at night as well. All you got to do is go to c60evo.com/Lisa Haven, and on that site you can get 15% off sets, 20% off of of subscriptions and 25% off of cases. And you can use the coupon code LisaH to get an additional 10% off. But check out their C60 EVO as you see on the screen here. They've got all kinds of other packages as well for hair, skin, nails, these kinds of things. Check them all out. If you want more information, click that more button or click in the description box below. But please don't forget to check it out. All right, back to the broadcast. Hopefully you guys check that stuff out. It is by far my favorite product, by the way. But with that, let's dive into this dire warning that was just issued by Javier Milei, the presidential candidate there in Argentina. Take a look here, and this is on Zero Hedge. Never embrace socialism, or the siren song of social justice. Argentina presidential candidate Milei warns Tucker of the dangers of staticism. Argentina's leading presidential candidate Javier Milei, a self-described anarcho-capitalist who won the primaries with 30% of the vote, sat down with Tucker Carlson in Buenos Aires for a wide-ranging discussion. And here's what he said when he's offering this advice and warning to the American people. He says specifically, this is what Milei said, never embrace the ideas of socialism. Never allow yourself to be seduced by the siren song of social justice. Don't get caught up in that terrible concept that where there is need, there is a right. But that can't happen on its own. We have to be prepared for this and wage a cultural war every single day. And we have to be careful because they have no problem with getting inside the state and employing techniques. Those techniques include seducing the artist, seducing the culture, seducing the media, and meddling in our educational content. By the way, all of these they have done, absolutely all of them. They have enticed Hollywood. They have enticed media. We know that mainstream media is now in bed with socialism, progressivism, and the Democrat Party. That's all they seem to push. And this is what's happening in the United States of America. And he says just because there's a need for something doesn't mean we need to throw money at it, because eventually what happens is you destroy a country, right? So, for example, and I'm going to say this because this is a personal experience, and I'm just going to put this out there. And I'm not sure if I shared this before. My mom and dad, when we were growing up, my father used to take in homeless people. And they're good people. And this is not cliche for all of them, right? Absolutely not cliche. My dad would take in homeless people and he would give them a job. He would give them a home. He would give them food. They would have all the necessities that they needed, even though we were really poor. I was poor. I lived in a single wide trailer growing up, not a real good place. I've shared that before, but we shared what we had with those who didn't have. And we got them jobs. We gave them an address. And every single time my dad was like, okay, you got a job, you're making money, you're doing good, they would quit their job. And he would get them another job. They would quit their job. And he's like, look, if you're not willing to work, you're not going to be allowed to stay here because we're trying to help you out and trying to get you back on your feet. And all of them, and I believe there was 5 or 6 that we ended up housing in different times, all of them within months, with exception to one, was like, I don't want to work anymore. I just want to suck off the government and the free stuff that I'm getting. If you continue to hand out free stuff, they're just going to stay on it. A lot of people do that. It's not cliche, but that's what he's trying to say here. Just because they're in need doesn't mean what you're doing is the correct path. And there was one homeless guy, I think, that lasted about 2 years for a job, and he finally quit and said, hey, I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to be who I'm going to be and do what I'm going to do off the government and live on the street. Now, again, that's not everyone. There's really good people who need help out there. However, this is the kind of stuff when you throw money at everything, trying to fix everything, it's not necessarily the right path. And that's some of the stuff that happens with socialism, right? But he goes on in that same article to talk about Donald Trump. And I want you to see this part. And here it is. Then Milei, touched on the third rail by supporting President Trump and offering him some advice. Here's what he said. Trump should continue his fight against socialism because he is one of the few who truly understand that we are fighting socialism and that we are fighting the statistics. He understood perfectly that the generation of wealth comes from the private sector. The state does does not create wealth, it destroys it. That is a powerful point. The state can give you nothing because it produces nothing. And when it attempts, it does so poorly. So I'd say, if I could humbly offer advice, all I could say would be to double down on his efforts in the same direction, defending the ideas of freedom and refusing to give an inch to these socialists. And I love that last warning there. Refuse to give an inch to these socialists. This is why I am all for, and maybe I'm sure some of you are going to disagree with me on this point, but I think we should, if the Democrats don't give the Republicans what they want, which is massive cuts in spending, then we need to shut our government down. We need to shut it down. We should not budge and give these socialists an inch, even any iota. And if that means a government shutdown, it means a government shutdown. We're at that point where if they continue to spend as reckless as they are and the Republicans don't have enough cojones to stand up against this, then we're going to be so screwed, and we're going to end up in Argentina, where you have 11 million supporting 47, or maybe here in the United States, maybe it become 50 supporting the other 320 some odd million. I mean, this is insanity. We're at that point where our country is at a turning point. And if we continue to give an inch and give an inch, we're going to lose everything that we have. And to be quite frank, this is why I'm saying this, because the middle class is shrinking, right? Take a look. This is here on the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Schneider. He's got a lot of great stuff there. The middle class is becoming the impoverished class, and the poor are increasingly being pushed into the streets. And what I mean by that is, take a look at the explosion of homelessness in the United States of America. Daily Mail. The U.S. sees biggest ever spike in homelessness as country sees a record 11% increase in a year to nearly 600,000 rough sleepers. San Francisco and Oakland are hotbeds, with drug tourists flocking to the cities. This is an 11% increase in homelessness over the past year. That's a massive spike. And the middle class continues to shrink. Here's just more evidence that about Biden economics, which is complete devastation. Bidenomics broke America. Real household income suffers biggest drop in 12 years. And here's just another one. And this is on Benzinga. Have to make over $100,000 just to afford a new car. I mean, things are getting bad here in the country. And I've talked about so much regarding the economy, but I think we all know where the economy sits and how bad things are. This is probably one of the more important reports that I have done. This is why we really need to hone in on and focus on what is happening in our country. And we need to start making bold steps. Shut the government down if they're going to do what they have to do. Stop this socialism policies. Start getting involved at a political level. And we really, 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 I think, should take this to heart. But anyhow, with that, for the rest of this video, because of the content that I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to be talking about what happens when it's full socialism and full communism. What's going to happen? Who are they going to go after? And they're already doing that. And I'm going to show you evidence for that. And it's information that you absolutely need to know. But I am only going to share this on restrictedrepublic.com. So get on over there, use the coupon code Independence, and you can get it for $4 per month for the entire first 2 years. You can cancel whenever you want. And by the way, you get 14 days free. But if you want to hear the rest of this broadcast, and I implore you to do that, get to restrictedrepublic.com as soon as possible. It's less than a cup of coffee per month. Anyhow, I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.